So as you can see, I'm at the shop again today. You know, just like every other day, basically surrounded by cars. And one thing I was thinking about is there's some times where you have so much that you have to do. You have so much going on. There's so many different things in different directions that are pulling you everywhere. And you need this done, and you need that done, and you need this done, and everything has to be done. There's not anything that's like, oh well, it's okay, I'll leave it till later. There's like so many things. You get stacked up and you get buried, right? And the reason why you get buried, obviously, is like we talked about before, where like you're not into it, right? You're not being as productive as you should be. So one of the biggest things once you get stuck in that rut of not being productive is how to get over being overwhelmed and feeling like you're breathing underwater, really, right? And one of the things that I've done, they always say that if you fail to plan, you plan to fail, right? Well, what happens when you sit there and you spend so much time planning and so much time trying to overanalyze and overthink everything that it becomes this massive, overwhelming thing where you're like, you don't know what to do because you have so much you need to do yesterday. You have so much that you needed to do a month ago, and you're buried now. You didn't handle it when you were supposed to. You didn't do it the way that you planned. You didn't do it the way you said. You didn't do it. Like, you were, for whatever reason, it didn't happen. And now you're overwhelmed. You're just buried. Well, one of the things that I've done that's helped a lot is, sometimes you just need a win, right? And like I've talked about before, sometimes you got to get into that mode of accomplishing things. Well, once you get into that flow, right? That like, I don't know how to explain it right, but like you just kind of get into a rhythm. And once you do that, things start going well. You just start hustling, right? And you can keep on moving. You can keep on hustling. You can keep on getting things done. But like, there's so many times where you look around and you're like, I don't know where to start, so I won't. And you might not make that exact decision or that exact statement, but that's really, when you look back on your day, that's what you did for half the day, right? And one of the things that I've learned is that, planning is very important for sure, but there's certain times where you're spending so much time overthinking it and so much time trying to plan every little detail so it all works out perfectly, that all of those hours, because usually it's hours, right? All of those hours that you spent doing that, you could have just spent accomplishing something. And so sometimes, like my dad used to say, do something. Even if it's wrong, just do something, right? And it's like, if you get to the point where you actually knock something out and that feels good, like we were talking about before, it feels great. But sometimes you just got to like throw caution to the wind and just send it, right? You have to go and do something. So pick a thing. It doesn't matter what it is. Don't sit there and plan like, well, if I have this thing done in this time and this thing done in that time. No. All those things that you plan on doing in the first place didn't work already. Pick one thing that you can knock out and knock it out. If you got all these people that are going to be unhappy with you anyways, you got all these people that are going to be pissed off because you didn't get their thing done or you didn't do what you were supposed to, and you're letting all these people down, and so you're sitting there under this crushing pressure of feeling all of these people that you're about to essentially screw over or have screwed over, and it wasn't your intention to, but you've done it at this point because you didn't do what you said you were going to do. Instead of freaking out and bouncing back and forth and like trying to get all these things, you have 6, 8, 10 things to do, and so you do 10 of them halfway. Well, guess how many of them are done? None. Pick one and just finish it, and then pick the next one and finish it. And like, there's certain things that doesn't work out for. Nothing's perfect, right? But like, at the end of the day, that's really what you have to do. Show progress, right? Because at the end of the day, most of the time, it doesn't matter if it's a bill collector, if it's a client, if it's a friend, a family member, yourself. It doesn't matter. If you show motion, no matter what, even the people that are going to still be bothered, they're still going to be mad, they're still going to be aggravated with you, they're going to see that you're trying, right? And when they see that, there's a lot of them that still won't back off, but there's some that will. And that relieves the stress a little bit. And then that allows you to think a little bit more clearly. And when you think a little bit more clearly, you get back into the rhythm that made you the badass you were in the first place, right? And so you just need to do it. And I know that there's like memes about that and whatever, but like right now I have 9 different projects at my shop. And they all have to get done. And I got rid of a whole bunch of people here. You know, I had a staff of 4 people besides myself. And now it's me, full-time, and 1 part-time dude, and that's it. That's all we got. You know, I got a guy that once in a while will like make some parts orders if I message him over Facebook or something, but that's it. And like there's tons of people in here that are unhappy right now. And the reason why is because they were supposed to have things done in a certain timeline and it didn't work. And whose fault is it? It's mine, because I'm the one at the top. It doesn't matter if, you know, such and such a dude decided that he no longer is inspired enough to work on cars. It doesn't matter if this guy has to go and do something for another obligation that he has. It's your fault that you chose those people. It's your fault that you didn't see the writing on the wall to make it happen. And that's fine, because now it's going to be your fault that it finally gets done. And when you have all these people that are always breathing down your neck because you put yourself in this situation, you have to fix it. And once you fix it, everything goes back to being better. In fact, usually it's better off then than it was before, because the whole point is that you've now developed more skills, you've now learned more things, and those things are going to teach you to improve. And when you improve further, it's not so hard the next time, right? And then you don't get buried because you're just faster, you're more efficient, you're stronger, whatever it is, you're able to handle the situation better. And that's going to turn out to benefit you in the long run. So you just have to pick something and run with it and go until you can't go on it anymore, and then immediately look at the next thing and grab it. So if I'm working on this thing right in front of me and then I get to the point where it stops, I stop. And as soon as I stop, I can't keep going with it because I'm missing parts, or I don't have the skill, or I don't have the material, or I don't have the money. I tell that person, this is where I stopped because of this reason. And then immediately the next thing next to me, I grab it. And as soon as I grab it, I yank it and I start moving on that one. And the next thing closer, and it ends up that all of the stuff ends up getting done. And then when you keep on moving like that, you're in that state of relentless motion. And you're completely focused on knocking it all out. Well, then when you do that, eventually you run out of things to knock out. And eventually everything is done. And eventually you're no longer buried. And that's what I'm doing now. And that's what everybody that should be buried, that thinks that they're overwhelmed and they think that they can't handle it and they think that they can't do all these things because they're looking at the forest and the forest is massive. Maybe narrow your focus a little bit and focus on the tree in front of you, right? Like, just knock it out. And when you can't, move on. But do your best every single time and just focus, and you'll get into that rhythm and it'll improve you. Anyway, that's enough ranting for today.